Welcome to this Project Aspiro audio feature. Today we'll be talking about job interview tips with Michelle Pandiff and Carolyn McDermott, employment specialists with CCRW's Workplace Essential Skills Partnership. So just to get started, how should someone prepare for a job interview?
There are a number of ways in which a person can prepare for a job interview. They can prepare by knowing approximately 4 things about the company. For example, the company's mission statement or mandate, the company's primary products and or services, any charities that the company supports, any recent positive news about the company, etc. Another point would be to rehearse your answers to common job interview questions. Another way to prepare would be to read the job ad carefully so that you won't be surprised at the interview when the interviewer starts to talk about tasks that you weren't aware that you would be performing. The job ad is a good indicator of behavioral questions that you might be asked. For example, if it is a customer service position, you most likely will be asked to give specific examples of when you demonstrated excellent customer service skills. Or you might be asked about a time when you had to deal with a difficult customer, or you'll be asked any other question related to customer service. So do look carefully at the skills requirements list in the job ad. Another example, if they want someone with strong leadership skills, be ready to give a specific example of when you demonstrated this skill.
And what are some good questions to ask during an interview?
Okay. Well, it's important to think of the type of questions. It's a great idea to ask open-ended questions because remember, you're creating a conversation with the employer. So rather than just asking choppy yes/no questions, get them to talk to you. And it's always a good idea to start off by asking about the team. There's almost always a team that you'll be joining. And asking about the team gets the employer to visualize you on that team. And that's what you want them to do. So that's pretty important. And of course, to ask questions of clarification. So if there's anything on the job posting that you might need more details on, ask those questions because this is your opportunity to make a decision whether or not you would accept this job. Okay, yes, the employer makes a decision about you, but you're also screening the employer, and it's important to keep that in mind when you're asking your questions.
Okay, great. What about for someone with vision loss? Is there any kind of specific questions that someone might want to ask in an interview related to that?
Well, it does depend, I guess, on the type of job and the accommodation needs of that person. If someone is thinking about disclosing, we always recommend to talk about accommodations. So perhaps I use a certain type of software. Is this compatible with your in-house system? In some cases, there's no need to disclose, but sometimes there is, especially if the interview has a testing component to it, a computer test. In that case, a person with vision loss might need to ensure that the employer will be prepared so that they can take the test fairly.
Okay.
I actually did want to also mention some questions to not ask at an interview because that's equally important.
Sure.
Questions that are obvious, that are already stated in the job posting or are easy to find out there on the company website. You know, it's important to not just ask questions for the sake of asking questions. Don't ask irrelevant questions. And try not to ask questions that are from a me perspective. What do I get out of this? Okay, so starting off with asking about salary or benefits, time off, that's definitely a no-no.
Save that for later, I guess, in the process.
Yeah, and usually if questions about salary, that will usually be discussed by the employer if they really are interested in hiring you. So. Okay,
makes sense. Okay, so now thinking about, after the interview, what are some thoughts around following up after an interview?
Well, we recommend that your last questions at the interview itself should be what are the next steps in the hiring process, and also ask each person who interviews you for his or her business card. This way you will know when you can expect to hear back from the employer. You can also use the information on the business cards to email each interviewer a short thank you and to restate your interest in the position.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carolyn. So, Michelle, you were talking earlier about disclosure, talking about someone's disability in an interview. What are your thoughts around disclosing a disability in an interview?
Well, yeah, it really does depend on the person. It is a personal choice. And like I said, if you are going to disclose, it's important to focus on the accommodations and not the disability. Sometimes people have this need to over-disclose or almost apologize for their disability, and that's not what it's about. It's just about perhaps requiring a tool in order to do the job, and to think of it from that perspective. So we typically will give our clients some one-on-one coaching if they're unsure about if they should disclose or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So to come at it from kind of a position of strength, not as if you're apologizing for something that, you feel might be perceived as a weakness.
Absolutely, because it's not a weakness at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's great. We've got some really good insights on job interview tips, and thanks to both of you for coming and talking with us today.
Thanks for having us.